Babashuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refertothekoran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the Great Quran and the guidance of God in it.
Said, ever since God guided me, no wise person on earth has ever insulted me. I repeat, ever since God guided me, no wise person on earth has ever insulted me.
Yeah, peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thank you all for coming. I'm streaming live from TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. Yeah. So kindly share so other people can join. This is the correctional officer Q&A section, which I normally do it like a series, right? So kindly share so other people can join as soon as possible. So let me give some shout outs to people who are online. We have Tariq Ayub, salam. Dangana, salam. Abdul Samad, Marwan Divaj, yeah, Marwan Divaj, Isa Watson, Rashid, Soibreti. Yeah, thank you for coming. Sister Benish, Sister Biansari, I see you. Salam. Amaj Rabbani, I see you. Salam. Let me see. Okay. Moha True, yeah, salam. Habib Rabbani, salam. Yes. Abu Bakr Muhammad Tijani, salam. Peace be upon you. Kindly share so that people can join. Let me see. Maybe I need to share this to my WhatsApp group so people can know I'm online. Thank you for coming once again. This is babashuaib, the correctional officer. This is a series I normally do every Wednesdays on my Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, right? So thank you for coming. Kindly share. Let me see. Yeah, for those based in my WhatsApp group, kindly share to the WhatsApp group. Thank you, Habib, for sharing. Kindly share to the WhatsApp group so the other people can join. For those on TikTok, I'll appreciate it if you can share it for other people to join as well. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the support. I see you, Abu Yusuf, Tikas Adams. I see you. Baba Sedu and Salis, I know you'll be joining. Sister Rashida, Mawia, Sister Jamila, all of you, I know you'll be joining. You'll be watching, whether now or later, inshallah. Sister Benin says, we miss you on Clubhouse. Yes, I miss you all too. Time is not on my side, but I'll try my best to jump on someday. All right. Dragonfly, salam. Sanusi Aziz. I'm just checking the time for the salams. After I finish with the greetings, I just seize that. Then I move on to the main topic of today, right? So thank you all for coming. I appreciate your presence. Yes. Yes, I appreciate your presence. And let's move on with the topic. For those on TikTok, let me see. Sorry, I didn't mention those who are watching from TikTok. But let me see if I know some of the people watching. For those on TikTok, I see Lincoln Ali. Salam, I see you. Jingari Empire says, do we have Tarukus Salat? Please speak about it. No problem. Hopefully I don't forget. I'll speak about it. Africanist Jibril, salam. Peace to you. I see you, Short Home Decor. I know you're watching. Jengis Khan Panisha, salam. Shamia says, salam, everyone. Salam to you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. This is my way. I invite to Allah by perception. I and whoever follows me, and glory be to Allah, for I am not among the mushriks, which are the idolaters. I don't belong to that group, right? So, yeah, salam, Salih Jim, I see you. Yeah, Isaac Coleman, please. The topic, I'm just starting a program. If you come here to disturb, be rest assured you'll be kicked off from the platform. So please, just pay attention and get some wisdom into your coconut head, right? So before I move on, let me play this short video that I have, right, concerning this this one famous scholar called Uthman al-Khamis, right? And he spoke about one of the issues that I had with this Siddiq Bozo, the mushrik, in the debate we had. We spoke about Haza Bayan al-Nas, right? My stance was it was referring to the Quran. Siddiq says no, it was referring to the verse above, that is chapter 3, verse 137. However, in order to get Siddiq's senses back to the reality, he knows that most of the scholars agree that it is talking about the Quran. So he, Siddiq, only took, how do you call it, Al-Tabari, the tafsir of Al-Tabari, to stand on his point, whilst all the scholars like Jalalain, Taymiyyah, Qurtubi, Bagawi, on and on, Ibn Abbas, on and on, all the tafsirs concerning all the scholars, which I don't believe in their tafsirs, but to pass on a point across to this mushrik, in order for him to know that majority of his scholars agree with the verse as Haza Bayan, as the Quran, right? So Siddiq Bozo was being arrogant to the truth, to the reality. So in the sect he belongs, majority carries the vote. In the mushrik ideology they follow, the majority carries the vote. So he ignored all the majority of the tafsirs of the scholars and then took only one scholar, which is At-Tabari, and then he's trying to say, oh, he's talking about the verse above. So my point wasn't actually to convince him, but to tell him that, hey, even your scholars of the tafsirs, the ones you believe in, the Bagawi and so on, they all claim it is Haza Bayan is talking about the Quran. So if you sit in a debate and you're calling me a liar, indirectly you are calling your scholars liars. That is my point. I don't need you, mushrik, to accept what I say. I know the intelligent people watching, the smart people watching will agree with what I say. You understand? Yeah, salam, Minash, you're welcome. Salam, Sister Alma Johnson. So that is why in my bio on my profile, I say I am not a preacher. I only lecture intelligent people to the truth in religion. I am not a preacher, right? I don't go on the street, hey, preaching to people, repent. No, no, no. My duty is the knowledge God has given me. I can access scriptures. I can access books and then tell you what it says. This is what I do, right? Because not everybody has the capacity or potential to study or read or go through doctrines and check for themselves. So in other words, we have people who will devote their time, investigate, and bring out the reality to you. So this is what I do. That's why I am the correctional officer, right? So I'm playing one of their scholars. He's called Uthman Al-Khamis. I'm playing his video. It's a short video. And see what he said regarding Quran chapter 3, verse 137 to 138. In whose side are most of the scholars of the hadith, most of the scholars of tafsir? On whose side are they? Is it Siddiq Bozo, the mushrik, Salafi mushrik, or is it babashuaib, the correctional officer? So let's listen to what Sheikh Al-Khamis. Yeah, so you just heard, that is Sheikh Uthman Al-Khamis, right? And he spoke in Arabic, and he made a notion concerning the verse. He was doing a tafsir, because usually the scholars sit down and do the tafsir of the Quran. So they will give the other interpretation or translations of other scholars concerning a verse or a chapter. So he was doing this tafsir, and he got to that point, and he was doing a breakdown. So actually, I had people who sent me this video. So I had to go through. And people even told me they went to Siddiq Bozo's page and they were putting it, and he was deleting it. He was deleting the videos or hiding the videos, which people sent me proof of that, which shows that he was clearly trying to hide the truth from his audience for them not to know, because in the first place, nobody knows him in Ghana, right? So he has no point in the world to make, or his words are not taken, you know. So the point is, his scholars, most of his scholars agree. So according to Sheikh Al-Khamis, Uthman Al-Khamis, he's saying that most of the scholars of the tafsir, those who came even before, the predecessors, those who did the tafsirs of they agree that it says Haza Bayanul Linnas is referencing to the Quran, that even the entire Quran, right? Most of the scholars. So if somebody will come today and say, no, you babashuaib, you are a liar, because you say Haza Bayadul Linnas, it means the Quran, so you are a liar. You're foolishly actually directly telling your scholars who actually accept that Haza Bayadul Linnas is the Quran, you are indirectly telling them they are liars. That is the sense I want to put in some of the mushriks' head. But they fail to accept the reality. Do you see the point? So the point is, you know, many a times, let me tell you the objective of babashuaib. My objective is to set the mushriks up as scapegoats, to make them make a fool out of themselves. Even every debate I did, every dialogue I did, what I do is I set you, the mushrik, up and make you shoot yourself in the head, not in the foot. In the foot, you'll be survive. But when I make you shoot yourself in the head, you are screwed. You are messed up, and your video will be there till eternity. I did it to, who do you call? Fahim. I did it to this guy, how do you call it? Ridwan, when we had a dialogue. Like, I'll make you mess up. You say things that will be there till eternity, because the internet never forgets. So when I say I'll make you mess up, for example, I'm going to play Fahim. He's based in South Africa. I'm going to play a short video from him. Listen to what Fahim said. Salam Tujis, I see you. Salam for all those who are joining. Jege Mandela, thank you all for coming. Listen to what Fahim has to say.
It's manishtarata sharatan laysa fi kitabillah. This is a principle that everyone should apply, including yourself, that do not impose in anything that you do in your life. Do not impose in anything that you do a condition that you do not find that condition in the book. So alhamdulillah, you have just proven that the sunnah takes us back to the Quran. The Sunnah tells us, go to the Quran and see the laws that are in the Quran. Whatever laws you find there, don't apply it to, if it's not in the book of Allah, don't apply it to your life.
They think they are sensible and they keep on making mistakes.
So, guys, you heard Sheikh Fahim. This is Fahim. I had a debate with him about, I think, is it 2 years ago, right? I would say 2 years ago already. And my objective is not to show you that I'm more knowledgeable than you or I know things more than you. My objective is the truth. That is why we are here, the truth, right? That's why God says, we have brought you the truth, but most of you hate the truth. So when people hate the truth, they will try to disguise the truth no matter how. They will try to conceal it. They will try to cover it. They will try to hide it as possible best they can. Just to what? To pass on their propaganda or to enslave the majority of the people who believe in their status or, positions and so on. You understand? So in other words, my objective is to get you, whether we are dialoguing or debates, I have to make you, lose control. You have to lose yourself in the head where you actually utter the truth. Not consciously, subconsciously, you state the truth, whether you like it or not. Because remember, Quran chapter 10, verse 82, God says, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. So God says God will enforce the truth with his voice, even if the criminals dislike it. God will enforce the truth, right? So even if you dislike it, the truth will eventually come. And God again says in Quran chapter 17, verse 80, جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلَ إِنَّ بَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Right? So the truth, when the truth comes, the batil, the falsehood, is bound to vanish. It has to vanish. It cannot stand the test of time. Right? So peace to all of you who are joining, LV Gongoli and so on. Peace to you all. So now, in order for you to make, me, babashuaib, to make you accept the truth subconsciously. Consciously, I know you have an objective. You want to stick with your ideology of being a mushrik, right? Subconsciously, I will make you accept the truth and you say it by your own words. So I'm going to again play Siddiq Bozo's video, and you hear that when they are talking, sectarians, I've studied them a lot of times. When they are talking, they are not talking consciously. Subconsciously, they say things and they misquote whatever they are saying and they mistaken whatever they are saying. So to a sectarian, if you say blue, he is listening red in the ear. Yes, if you want to know why I'm saying that, go to Quran chapter 17, verse 45 to verse 46, and read up to verse 47. You understand why I'm saying that. For people who don't actually uphold the Quran for guidance, whenever you are speaking from the Quran, if you say blue from the Quran, they are listening to red. So whatever you are saying is not going here. It doesn't work in the brain for them. And that is why I keep saying mushriks are kaput in the head. So now listen to Siddiq Bozo, right? His short video. Listen to how I made him actually accept the truth, but subconsciously. Now listen to him. And this is what the definition of what we call hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. So listen.
The Quran is enough for us. The Quran is enough for us to prove our religion. The Quran is enough to prove our religion. And every Muslim says this. What do we mean? It's enough to prove
They think they are sensible and they keep on making mistakes.
So the Quran alone is enough for us to prove anything of our religion. I feel like crying, eh?
I love mushrik. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard Siddiq Bozo, right? Now, this was when he was admitting to the truth subconsciously, right? Consciously, he's confused. Subconsciously, he's actually altering the truth with his mouth. But when they, because anytime, because they don't accept the truth of God, they like to accept the truth from other people's point of view. That is what they call I call them personal truth, right? Because whatever indoctrination or doctrine you are following, at that particular time, you think that is the truth. So what they do is they accept the truth subconsciously, and they even say it, because this guy doesn't know the difference between enough and alone. Because if you have one wife, if you only have one wife, and you say one wife, my wife is enough for me, it means one is enough. Your wife alone is enough. That is the English there. But because they don't uphold the truth, they don't know how to utilize the word alone and enough. You see, this glass is one glass, right? One. So if I say this glass is enough, it means this glass alone is enough. You don't need any vocabularies again to explain further. So the moment you heard the video when I played it, Sadiq says, the Quran is enough to prove our religion. The Quran is enough to prove our religion. Then he repeated again, the Quran is enough to prove anything in our religion. Hello, is it not shooting yourself in the head? Hello, is that not shooting yourself in the head? Because if you are a sectarian, you said those following the Quran alone are kafirs. This is what you claim. We are telling you the Quran is sufficient. That's why we are following it alone. It's sufficient for us. You claim it is not sufficient, but then you took over the mantle and you again repeated what we have been telling you by saying that the Quran is enough to prove our religion. So hello, if the Quran is enough to prove my religion, hello, why do I need your garbage books? Then again, they will go around in the circle. But, okay, show me how you pray 5 times. Oh, really? Now, do you see the definition of what we call munafiqun? Now, Siddiq is the real definition of what we call hypocrite. I'm not saying it. Listen and judge. Again, to the bozo.
The Quran is enough for us. The Quran is enough for us to prove our religion. The Quran is enough to prove our religion. And every Muslim says this. What do we mean? It's enough to prove.
They think they are sensible and they keep on making mistakes.
So the Quran alone is enough for us to prove anything of our religion. I feel like crying, eh?
I love mushrik. You understand? So that is why I give him a korobetu. And when they see that, it burns them to the core. You understand? So I don't know. This guy claims he's a graduate. He said he's a graduate. Listen to Siddiq.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
Again.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
So if this guy actually knows English, and he goes back again to attack what he just said. And by the way, please, the video, if you needed this video of Siddiq, I'm sharing it over on my platforms. I will actually will actually appreciate it if you share that short video to the scholars, the Sunnis, share it in Ghana, like share it. Let them hear Siddiq saying by his own words, not me, by his own words, the Quran is enough to prove our religion. The Quran is enough to prove anything in our religion. And he went again to say the Quran alone is enough for our religion. He used the word alone and he used the word enough. Somebody will say, oh, maybe he made a slip up. That is how liars are caught. And that is how a hypocrite subconsciously admits to the truth. Consciously, he will try to block it off and say, no, I don't mean that, like that. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a video of a football player from Ghana, I think from 3 years ago or 4 years ago, right? This guy won a man of the match award. So when he went to the backside and he was talking to the man, those who present the man of the match award, then he was giving shout outs to people. He was saying shout outs to my family, shout outs. Then he said shout outs to my wife, and he says, and also my girlfriend. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might think it's a slip up, but this is how the conscious works. Even though you might think it's a slip up, there is some truth to that, because it is something you have at the back of the head. So it gets to a point. That's why no secrets can be permanent. It will get to the day the secrets will come out. You can't keep it there. The conscious will be knocking where you have to, whether a slip up or you have to say it, right? And it's just like people who pretend to have a false name, and then they will say, hey, my name is Yakubu, right? Even though my name is babashuaib, then I'll say my name is Yakubu. It will get to a point I will actually make a slip up and bring the real name out, no matter what. I'll bring it out, because the conscious, subconscious and conscious, you have two conscious, right? Subconscious and conscious. So subconsciously, it will get to a point you reveal the truth without you knowing that you have said the truth. And that is what Siddiq did. And that is what Fahim also did. This is how I set mushriks up. And they don't understand why I call myself, or they tag me as correctional officer. That is the point. So if you go around and say, oh, he doesn't know how to recite Arabic, he doesn't know how to read Arabic, he doesn't really. You think I'm here to compete with you reading Arabic, reciting Arabic? I'm here to set you up as scapegoats in order for you yourself to admit to the truth, whether consciously or subconsciously, just as God says, willingly or unwillingly. That is the logic behind it. Why are you stressing yourself? Huh? Especially Siddiq Bozo, why are you stressing yourself? Now we have your video till eternity. The video will be trending. It will be there for everybody to see. You said it by your own words. So if you go away again and say, no, the Quran alone is not enough, you are a hypocrite. That is a munafiq, the definition of a hypocrite. You understand? So let us listen to the Bozo once again and see them.
The Quran is enough for us. The Quran is enough for us to prove our religion. The Quran is enough to prove our religion. And every Muslim says this. What do we mean? It's enough to prove
They think they are sensible and they keep on making mistakes.
So the Quran alone is enough for us to prove anything of our religion. I feel like crying, eh?
I love mushrik. And you know what? The funniest thing about this mushrik is there's this video of him that actually gets me. It cracks me up whenever I see the video or whenever I watch the video. Let me put the video here. The video cracks me up very, very much. So I put the video here just for the sake of laughing a bit. Let's laugh a bit. Let's laugh a bit. So here's the video. This guy is calling me a kafir, but listen to what he will say when he was calling me a kafir. Listen to what he say. If this guy is not actually gay, I don't know what he is. I don't know if he is a gay or not. But listen to the statement this guy said.
Wallahi, anyone who have any shakka, any doubt that this guy is a kafir, that person, man, shakka fi kufrihi fa huwa kafirun. Anyone who doubts that this guy is a kafir, he himself is a kafir. So there's no two ways of spreading your legs in doubt whether he's a kafir or not. The moment you see anyone supporting this guy is a kafir like him.
What did he just say? He is saying I'm a kafir, and he says whoever supports me is a kafir. So, ladies and gentlemen, whoever is supporting me, Bozo is calling you kafirs, right? The Bozo. He doesn't have any verse to back it up, right? Now, calling you kafir, then he says there is no doubt spreading your legs left and right that I'm a kafir. What is the spreading of the leg for? I don't understand. Is it not a gay stuff? Are you actually a gay to make certain utterance? Why would somebody spread his leg? You say there is no doubt for the person to spread his leg. For what? If it's a woman, why spread her legs? And if it's a man, why spread his legs? For what? No, actually, I don't know. Consciously, subconsciously, if somebody who doesn't have a perverted mindset, why will you go to the extent saying there is no doubt spreading your legs? What? Spreading your legs, that babashuaib is a kafir? There's no doubt by spreading it. So you want people to actually go and spread their legs to actually know I'm a kafir. So this is what I'm saying, that mushriks, when it comes to conscious, I don't know how their brain works. Maybe they need a reset button, right? You know, when you buy a gadget, there's a reset button. It needs to reset. And when they reset it, they have to lock it, right? With a pin code again. This is the kind of mindset the mushriks usually have. So straight thinking, they don't have it. That's why they end up asking stupid questions. The dumbest questions, you only hear it from the sectarians and mushriks. So listen to the video again, the way he said the statement.
Wallahi, anyone who have any shakka, any doubt that this guy is a kafir, that person, man, shakka fi kufrihi fahuwa kafirun. Anyone who doubts that this guy is a kafir, he himself is a kafir. So there's no two ways of spreading your legs in doubt whether he's a kafir or not. The moment you see anyone supporting this guy is a kafir like him.
So the Bosa says there is no two ways spreading your legs in doubt. So there's no two ways spreading your legs in doubt. So it's telling you, go and spread your legs. Don't doubt. Spread your legs out, whether you are a man or woman. If this doesn't sound gay, what else does it sound? Why will you make such a statement? Out of the hatred for babashuaib? You claim I'm crazy. You claim I have schizophrenia, but you are offended when I speak. You are offended for whatever I do. So the last time I checked, if you're offended by what a madman says, what does that make you? Hello? You are offended people are following a madman. This is what you claim. You said anybody who follows me is a madman. Is following me, I'm a madman. And you are offended by what I do. Seriously, why are you offended with what a madman does? I don't get it. You understand? Logic doesn't work on this. So this is how frustrated the sectarians are. This is how frustrated the mushriks are, right? So I'm going to play a video by this guy. How do you call him? Asim al-Hakim, right? And he has to make a statement concerning people who follow the Quran for guidance. Now listen how confused the sectarians are, right? They are very, very confused. And I don't think they are in their right senses when they are speaking. That's why I keep saying the conscious and subconscious. Okay, so listen.
If you read Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah speaks in the first 2-3 ayahs about Al-Mu'mineen, and then 2-3 ayahs about Al-Kuffar, and then 8-9 ayahs about Al-Munafiqeen, about the hypocrites. The hypocrites are everywhere. And in the beginning, there were no hypocrites in Mecca. Why? Because Islam was weak. When they went to Medina and Islam became strong, then the hypocrites appeared. Whenever Islam is strong, hypocrisy becomes widely spread because they are enemies of Islam. They cannot attack Islam. Because if they attack Islam, people will fight with them. So what to do? They work from underground. They put doubts in your head about Islam. Oh, this is not hadith sahih. No, hadith is not good. We only believe in Quran. What about the hadith? No, hadith may be corrupt, may be this. We don't believe in hadith. We are Quraniyun. We believe only in the Quran. Whoever believes in the Quran and rejects sunnah is a kafir.
Ladies and gentlemen, seriously, what is wrong with these people? What is, I can't think far. What is wrong with them? I don't get it. Like, how does the conscious work? Seriously, how does it work? Now, what you'll be amazed that when you are listening to these people, with all their position, you see their appearance, and if you read Surah Al-Munafiqun, you understand who these people are. the appearance, and then this guy is charging $100 for half an hour consultation, and he claims he's not a scholar. He's charging people for that. And this guy is actually passing on a fatwa by saying that whoever will believe in the Quran, follow the Quran without accepting the sunnah is a kafir. Where does this law come from? Where is this judgment coming from? Because the last time I checked, Quran chapter 5 verse 44, Quran chapter 5 verse 45, Quran chapter 5 verse 47 says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ ظَالِمُونَ فَاسِقُونَ is found there. So if you do not judge by what God has revealed, then you are a kafir. So you Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim, and we who claim the Quran is enough, who is a kafir? Because you are attributing garbage books which your prophet never approved, and you are calling it sunnah and adding it to Islam. Is that not bid'ah according to your own definition? Is that not bid'ah, your innovation? Because as far as Islam is concerned, none of the believers with the prophet wrote any hadith books for you to follow. Right? Or did the prophet actually approve hadith books for you to follow? Now, in your own hadith books, now this is what they don't pay attention to. In their own hadith books, if you go to Sahih al-Bukhari, right? I'm going to put the hadith on the page, right? It is Sahih al-Bukhari 5,669. Let me put the hadith on the page. 5,000. I'm going to put the hadith. I'm going to share the hadith for the argument's sake, but unfortunately for those on TikTok, you will not see it, right? 5,669, right? Here, let me share the screen. I share the screen, but I'll come back to Asim Al-Hakim, right? To state the point I want to say. So let's go to the hadith. Where is it? Hadith book. This is the hadith on the page. Now, for this on TikTok, you cannot see it, but you'll be listening to what I'm saying, right? So when you check the hadith here, normally when it starts haddathana, you see haddathana Ibrahim bin Musa. When they are translating it normally, do you not see? They will not bring all these people here in the list. They will just cut it short to bring where it says narrated Ibn Abbas. So they will just go to the Ibn Abbas side to actually tell you what Ibn Abbas says concerning what the prophet said, right? So here, he says, when Allah's messenger was on his deathbed, in the house there were some people, among whom was Umar bin al-Khattab. The prophet said, "Come, let me write for you a statement after which you will not go astray." Umar said, "The prophet is seriously ill and you have the Quran, so the book of Allah is enough for us." Here, this is the Arabic version here, this side. I'm going to highlight it for you to see on this side. Oh, sorry, it doesn't highlight, but you see this side. Let me zoom it a bit. Here, Umar says, "Wa indakum Quran." Then he says, "Hasbuna kitabullah." Umar says, "Hasbuna kitabullah." The book of God is sufficient for us. Just like we are saying now, the book of God is sufficient for us. The book of God, which is the Quran, is sufficient, meaning the Quran alone is enough. But it is actually the mushriks, because they hate us, calling ourselves Muslim, they hate us so much, they have to name tag us by saying Quran alone Muslims, by saying they are Quranist, by saying they are Quraniyun, by saying they are hadith rejectors. You understand? They hate us so much, they have to tag us with a name. So if that is the case, this is Umar. On the deathbed of the Prophet, Umar was saying, "Hasbuna kitabullah." He says, "Wa indakum Quran." The Quran is with you. So hasbuna kitabullah. And this is what it says here. Umar said, the Prophet is seriously ill. You have the Quran. Indakum Quran. So he says, so the book of God, hasbuna kitabullah. The book of Allah is enough for us. Simple. But like I said, they don't know how conscious and subconscious works. The mushriks, I keep telling you, they are kaput in the head. I don't need this hadith book, the comedy book, to tell me the book of God is enough. No, I don't need it. The Quran itself claims it's sufficient. Quran chapter 29, verse 51. أَوَلَمْ يَخْفِيهِمْ أَنَّا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. Is it not sufficient for them that we have revealed to you the book being recited to them? So the book is enough. The book of God is enough. This is what we claim. We are Muslims, just like the Prophet was instructed. Quran chapter 27, verse 91. وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And he says, I have been commanded to be of the submitters, Muslims. And I'm claiming the same. You claim you are following the sunnah of the Prophet, the footsteps. So the Prophet is saying he's commanded to be of the Muslims. So how come you are calling yourself Salafiyya, Sunni, Wahhabiyya, Ahmadiyya, Jagadigadiya, or you keep adding the dia on it? What is wrong with you? And you just hate the truth, and we are actually replicating, following the Prophet, following the whatever you claim Sahabas. And this is Umar al-Akhtab saying Hasbuna Kitabullah. And we are now saying the same thing. You hate us. You say, oh, they are not Muslims. Oh, what is your definition of a Muslim? Come, sit with me face to face. Define a Muslim according to the Quran for me. Let's see who is a Muslim. What is wrong with the bozos? I don't get it. So this is your own garbage book. And Umar is saying, Hasbuna Kitabullah. So what do you need any garbage writings or statements for? So Umar said it at the time of Prophet when he was dying. And we are still repeating the same statement that we don't need your garbage books. The book of God is enough. Hasbuna Kitabullah. And you, Siddiq Bozo, you even said it yourself. Yeah, Abu Bakr, I'm coming. Abu Bakr, Abdul Jalil, I'm even coming to talk about that part. The book existed at the time of the Prophet, and I'm going to prove it today. The book existed, right? The mushriks will keep lying to you every day. That's what they do. So let's listen to the Bozo scholar again. The Bozo. Let's listen what he's saying.
You don't have to sugarcoat it, because Allah says in the Quran, you have to follow the Prophet, you have to follow the Sunnah.
Hey, stop it. Look at his white beard. He says, God says we have to follow the Sunnah. Which Sunnah? Sunnatullah, he said. He didn't say Sunnatul Nabi. You will never find a verse in the Quran where it says Sunnatul Nabi. It's not there. It's Sunnatullah God gave you. Chapter 33, verse 38. Chapter 33, verse 38. Sunnatullah is what we find. وَمَا كَانَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ مِنْ حَرَجٍ فِي مَا فَرَضَ اللَّهُ لَهُ. Then he says Sunnatullah. قَدْ خَلَهُ مِنْ قَبْلٍ. Right? So those who passed before, that is the same Sunnah God has given. It's Sunnatullah. So why are you trying to lie to us and you say God says we should follow the Sunnah of who? Prophet Muhammad? Show us a verse. They cannot quote a verse. Then they will say, Atiullah wa Atiur Rasul. This is how the mushriks have been programmed in the head. Misquoting verses out of context. And out of their foolishness, this is why they will tell you their garbage books are the one to explain the Quran. That they don't have brains. So I said it in my mushriks don't have brains. Seriously. You think I'm insulting them? If they are somebody with a brain who will be thinking that way? No. That's why they are frustrated when babashuaib is speaking. They're calling me, hey, they say he's a madman. But you are frustrated from what a madman says. Come on, I'm just playing with your ego. Listen to the bozo.
يتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين ومن يشاقق الرسول من بعد ما تبين له الهدى.
This is what they do. Quote verses out of context. This verse is quoting. I'm going to put the verse on the screen and I'm going to show you how they are lying, twisting the verses out of context. Lying to the people. Mushriks, just like Siddiq Bozo. They lie, broad daylight, and they are swearing. Wallahi. This is what they do. Mushriks, you need an award. Do you know the award? You have to be given new brain cells. That is the award for the mushriks. So I'm going to put that verse he's quoting with lies. Let me go on the page. So Quran chapter 4, verse 115. Right? And let me maximize the verse. And I share the screen. Right? Let's see what the kind of lies these mushrik have been doing. And they think we are not going to catch them. Your cup is full, mushriks. So this is the page. So normally the mushriks will quote this verse, chapter 4, verse 115. When it says, وَمَنْ يُشَاكِكِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى. Then he says what? وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى. Then he says, وَنُسْلِهِ جَهَنَّمْ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. So it says, whoever opposes the messenger. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the messenger only brings you a message. From who? From God. Quran chapter 5, verse 67. Ya ayyuha rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'alu, fama ballagta risalatahu, wallahu yasumuka minan nas. Right? Quran chapter 5, verse 67. It tells the messenger, oh, you the messenger, deliver what has been revealed to you from your Lord. And if you do not, then you have not delivered his messages. And the message is in the Quran. That is the message of God. So now, if you oppose the messenger, it means you are going against the message the messenger has been given. Remember, the verse doesn't say Nabi. It's talking about the Rasul. The Rasul delivers what we call a risala. A messenger delivers a message. That's why it's called a messenger, because he has a message to give you. Where is the message coming from? From God. So now whoever opposes the messenger after what has been made clear to him of the guidance. Where is the guidance? Quran chapter 45, verse 11. God says, this is guidance. Haza hudan. Quran chapter 45, verse 11. God says, this is guidance. Where? Open it. The Quran. I know when you ask the bozo again, he will tell you something else, the verse above. Something. Allah bozo. So this is guidance. The Quran is guidance. That's why it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. When you open the kitab, you find guidance throughout. It's guidance. And follows other than the way of the believers. Who are the believers? Go to Quran chapter 8, verse 2. I'm going to show you here. Quran chapter 8, verse 2. And I'm going to read up to verse 4. Who are the believers? إنما المؤمنين الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم زادتهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. Verse 3. الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Then verse 4. أولئك هم المؤمنون الحق لهم درجات عند ربهم وَمَغْفِرَةٌ وَرِزْقٌ كَرِيمٌ. So what is the translation saying? The translation says the believers are only those whom, when God is mentioned, their hearts are fearful. And when his verses are recited to them, these are the believers. They take the verses of God, not garbage books, not Sahih Bukhari, not any breastfeeding adult book, not any book of stoning people to death. We don't need that. Not any book of negotiating 50 salats. No, we don't need that. When his verses, that's the verses of God from the book of God, Hasbuna Kitabullah. Umar said it, we are also saying it. You can go and bend the sea. We will say it too. The book of God is enough. We don't need your garbage books. And when his verses are recited to them, they increase in faith. Yes, we like the verses of God. So that's why we have faith in his book. And they rely on their Lord. Yes, we rely on God for guidance. We don't rely on your garbage books for guidance. Then verse 3, the ones who establish the litany, and from what we provided them, they disperse. We give charity. We establish the salat also. Verse 4, those are the true believers. So these are the believers God is talking about in Quran chapter 4, verse 115. So God is saying in 115, and whoever opposes the messenger after what has been made clear to him of the guidance. Where do we find the guidance? In the book of God. Quran chapter 2, verse 159. إن الذين يختمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب. Right? Quran chapter 2 verse 159. Salam, Hassan. So God says, and follows other than the way of the believers. The way of the believers is to uphold the verses of God. This is the way of the believers. The way of the believers is not to follow garbage books. No, we don't need that. We will turn him to what he has turned and burn him in hell. You want to turn to garbage books? Go ahead. You are not a believer. You are a mushrik. You go to your garbage books. We will stick with the book of God, with Umar. Hasbuna kitabullah. Such an evil destiny. So go and burn in hell. So let's go back to this other bozo, trying to lie to the people, right? So see, look at the bozo. I told you their head is kaput and they are emotional creatures. Allah bozos. So listen to the bozo.
غير سبيل المؤمنين نوله ما تولى. Whoever goes against the Prophet عليه السلام.
The verse doesn't say prophet. Hey bozo, Mr. Bozo, Asim al-Hakim, you are a bozo. The verse doesn't say prophet. The word prophet in Arabic is nabi. I just showed you the verse. The verse is rasul. A foolish mushrik listening right now will say, oh, is it not the prophet who is the messenger? Wawambanza. Did God say nabi? Foolish mushriks.
And follows other than the way of the believers, we will put him in hell.
So what is the way of the believers? You mean Salafiyah? Or is it Wahhabiyah? What is it? Is it Qadiriyah? What is it? Tell me, is it Sufiya, Istiqama, Ibadiyah? What is the way of the believers? Tell me. You tell me, what is the way of the believers? In your garbage books, Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, where? You see how they are fooling themselves? They are kaput in the head.
So we have to know that the hypocrites, they will come and try to undermine Islam.
So you are the ones undermining Islam by saying the Prophet married a CCSO girl from your own garbage books. Up to today, we have not seen any scholar of yours who can prove from the Quran where the Prophet married a CCSO girl. It doesn't exist. So I don't get how this logic works. And these people are in the forefront, and you think these people can give you good fatwas? These people can lead you to God? Hello? Don't let their dressing impress you. Never. Don't let the dressing impress you. Even the statues, the melanins in the boutiques, they wear nice clothes also.
How to deal with them? We have to expose them.
Oh, how to deal with them? We have to expose them with what? With lies. This is how they do. That's their job. And that's why you see some of the Ghanaian people actually doing that same tactic. They expose with lies. They lie about you. They lie about your personality. They don't even know your background. They will lie about it. Wallahi, this is how they are. And this is the definition of a mushrik. This is how mushriks have been throughout history. That is why even the Prophet Muhammad, they called him a madman. Mushriks have been doing that centuries. In order to undermine you, then they have to name tag you, expose you with falsehood, to actually attribute falsehood to you. This is what they do.
We have to show the people that this is against Islam.
You see, now they will show the people and they will say, oh, this guy is against, just like I played the gay guy, his video, the gay guy, I don't know, is a gay or what, by the guy who said you no doubt to spread your legs left and right, that babashuaib is a kafir. This is what they do. Then they'll say babashuaib is against God, is against the Prophet, is against, just because of their garbage books. All this because of their garbage books. Okay.
Without giving takfir. We're not.
Now they say without giving takfir. Look, but you remember earlier on in this same video, this man called us kafirs. He says the people who say the book, the Quran is enough, are kafirs. But now he is saying without giving takfir. Do you see how their conscious work? Subconscious and conscious, they are kaput in the head. They don't know how to connect the dots between consciousness and subconsciousness. And correctional officer is here to give you the antidote for that. They are kaput in the head. And that is why I'll force them to play nonsense, to say things they are not even meant to say. The videos are there and everybody can watch. Have fun.
ISIS. We don't give takfir.
We don't give takfir. This bozo just gave takfir in the beginning of the video. Okay, let me take, this is 2 minutes, right? I'm taking back the video. Now listen. He's going to give takfir in the beginning.
If you read Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah speaks in the first 2-3 ayahs about al-mu'minin. And then 2-3 ayahs about al-kuffar. And then 8-9 ayahs about al-munafiqeen, about the hypocrites. The hypocrites are everywhere. And in the beginning, there were no hypocrites in Mecca. Why? Because Islam was weak. When they went to Medina and Islam became strong, then the hypocrites appeared. Whenever Islam is strong, hypocrisy becomes widely spread because they are enemies of Islam. They cannot attack Islam. Because if they attack Islam, people will fight with them. So what to do? They work from underground. They put doubts in your head about Islam. Oh, this is not hadith sahih. No, hadith is not good. We only believe in Quran. What about the hadith? No, hadith may be corrupt, may be this. We don't believe in hadith. We are Quraniyun. We believe only in the Quran. Whoever believes in the Quran and rejects sunnah is a kafir.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Now, this is why I keep saying these mushriks are kaput in the head. They make utterances and the conscious, I don't know how they are using their brain. They have, the brain cells has to be changed, to be given new one, to reprogram, just like, you know, the robots, how you program the brains, right? They have to be reprogrammed. They say things in the same line, they contradict themselves. Just like Siddiq Bozo does, right? Contradiction after contradiction like this. This is what they do. And then, look, 2 minutes ahead, let's see what he said.
Against Islam, without giving takfir. We're not ISIS. We don't give takfir.
He said, without giving takfir, we are not ISIS. He claimed he's not ISIS without giving takfir, right? But he just gave takfir, which means you are ISIS. Do you see how their brain works? Allah mushrikaga. Hey, you make a social media so sweet. Seriously, they're mushriks. Let's go on.
But we have to expose them. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ.
لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. You. We are going to expose you with your لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. The solecism of your speech. This is what they are doing, Asim al-Hakim. You, the same person who said you are not a scholar. Okay, this is what he said. I'm going to give you a video of him. He said he's not a scholar, right? So Asim, let me play your video because you are giving us entertainment too much here. Where is he? These bozos, they are. Listen. He said he's not a scholar. Listen. He's going to expose himself.
However, this is not our question. Did you, Sheikh Asim, say 2% to 3% in a drink is permissible because it does not waste? Yes, I did. Do you still stand by this? No, I don't. What do you mean? Akhi, when I talk about Islamic issues, I don't talk from my own self. I'm not a scholar. I don't come up with
Allah mushrik. Hey, what is wrong with this mushrik? I don't understand. Right? When you talk about Islam, you don't talk from your own, and you are not a scholar, and you are sitting in Malaysia or which country you are, Indonesia, saying that people who upload, who say the Quran is sufficient, they are kafirs. What? Then whose opinion are you using there? What? La ilaha illallah. Now, this is the problem with people. When they listen to people like Zakir Naik and so on, they don't pay attention. Now, let me tell you one thing people are refusing to pay attention to. I think if I have the video of Zakir Naik here, then I'll let you understand why I'm saying you should pay attention to what these scholars tell you, right? Right. They are very, very dangerous, right? Now, listen. I'm going to play a short video by Zakir Naik, right?
Any person, any scholar, sister, says anything, ask for proof. Allah says in Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse 111, "Qul hatu bunanakum," produce your proof in kuntum sadiqin, but if you're truthful. Any scholar, therefore what I say, that what Dr. Zakir Naik says in Islam is zero, no value. What Allah says carry weight.
You see what Zakir Naik said? What Zakir Naik says in Islam is zero, like this, zero. What God says, carry it. The foolish mushriks will keep using their garbage books to actually pass on legislation in Islam. And if you ask them, where does God make such a claim? It becomes a problem. Seriously. Then they start tagging you. Oh, he's a Quranist. He's a quranalone. He said this. He said this. He said this. What? Really? Really? Is it because you hate the truth? Your Umar himself says, Hasbuna Kitabullah, the book of God is sufficient. We are also saying the same thing. You are angry, you're upset with us. Oh, come on. Come on, mushriks, don't do that. You hate the truth, so you are going to hate us too? Really? Okay, let's listen to your Bozu scholar.
You should identify the hypocrites in the way they speak.
Yeah, we actually identified you right now. Because Asim Hakim, you said we should identify the hypocrite by the way they speak. We just did. We actually identified you right now.
You can tell that they're using crooked ways.
We can tell. It's true. Asim Hakim, you are using crooked ways to lie to the people. It's true.
When they speak, they don't speak قال الله قال الرسول. No,
you see, when he was speaking, did he quote God? No. Did he quote the messenger? No. You takfir people without actually showing where God takfir people. You lie using your own whims and desires to lie. All the verses you quoted has nothing to do with God, what God is saying, according to what you are trying to base it on.
They try to undermine Islam. So
we are trying to undermine Islam, are you sure? Or we are trying to uplift Islam to where it belongs. The point is, you infiltrated Islam, brought your garbage ideas into Islam, make people take Islam as a thing of mockery. Why will you have books of breastfeeding adults? Sahih Muslim 3600. Go and check for yourself. Prophet is telling somebody to breastfeed an adult. If this is not nonsensical, what else it is? Right? So such books to explain Islam. And when we are telling you to come back to your conscious, your senses, you are telling us we want to undermine Islam. So is that Islam for you? No wonder I call you bozos.
To expose them, we have to show in the media whatever allegations they present, we put counter allegation.
You see, because they are already lying to the people, what we say, their counter allegations is to lie about your personality, about you, just like Siddiq Bozo does. Out of his frustration because of double uppercuts I gave him, he went to sit down in front of his audience, telling them, I have schizophrenia. Oh, really? Since when did Siddiq become a doctor? You are a doctor? You can actually assess people and say they have schizophrenia? The last time I checked, Siddiq, you are the one who have that sickness. Because you confess your best friend has such a sickness. So it's obvious he transferred it to you. What?
Because the jihad of the kuffar is with the sword. The jihad of al-munafiqeen, of the hypocrites, is with the tongue and with the pen.
Just like you, we just saw it. Just like your books. You say with the tongue and the pen, your scholars write all their books, right? And as well, we hear your scholars speaking with their mouth, just like you, Asim Al-Hakim, you are speaking, right? Like this. That's how to identify munafiqs. And remember, hypocrite is even worse than a kafir.
So this is the role of the ulama, the scholars, Whenever there is an attack on Islam, they come and clarify this for the Muslims, inshallah.
Oh, so now you are part of ulama. I thought this guy said he's not a scholar. So now he said this is the rule. So the rule, you are telling people the rule. So now you are the ulama, part of the ulama, the scholar. Hey, Asim Al-Hakim. And he's charging $100 for consultation. The guy says he's not a scholar, but he's charging for that. You see it on the screen, right? Price $100 for an hour, right? For consultation. So these are the bozus. They lie to the people, they take people's money, and then they try to brainwash you with the fake Islam, not real Islam. So let's go. Let's move the bozus away from the screen. So now let me move to the question, right? A question was asked by a brother. He says, "Salam, brother. Hope all." He says, friends were talking about when people die in Mecca, they have a higher place in Jannah. The person claims that his friend says when someone dies in Mecca, they have a higher place in Jannah, meaning they will get a higher place in paradise. And that it is a privilege. It is a privilege, right? And he says, to which I ask the following question to them: why would Allah have any disparity in where one dies, and how would one know that he or she will have a higher place in Jannah? Surely being in Jannah alone should be enough, right? Why do secular Muslims feel superior in thought and certainty that they will be in a higher place in Jannah? Because their books, their fabricated books have promised them such. The books they follow, the hadith books and so on, it promising them such lies, right? When you come to the Quran, tell these people to prove whatever the claims they are making from the Quran. Quran chapter 4 verse 174. God has given us Burhan and Nurun Mubina. That is the book of God. It is the proof God has given us, right? So when somebody makes any claim, let them prove from the Quran, the book of God. Let them prove it and show you where God made such a claim. And when people quote verses, sit them down. Say, hey, wait. Let's check the verse. Let's check the verse in full. Don't lie. Check. Just like the mushriks, normally they will tell you, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوهُ. Whatever the messenger gives you, take it. Whatever he refrains you from, don't let them quote the verse in full and check. They are lying to you. They will say, أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, and then they will keep quiet. They are lying to you again. They want to lie. And then they will go again, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, and they will lie to you again. Then they go on and on. They quote verses, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي, right? They will quote such verses, chapter 3 verse 31, and then they will lie to you again. They don't put things into context in full to actually highlight things so that you see what God is saying. They actually use their whims and desires to lie to you in every aspect. Yeah, salam, Amaj Rabbani. Yes. Okay, so let me go. The question asked, the answer is, let the person prove it from the Quran. Whatever claims the person is making concerning Islam, tell him where does God make such a claim. Because Quran chapter 7 verse 33, وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you say something about God that you do not know, it is haram. So when a person is lying about God, it is also haram. Right? Quran chapter 7 verse 33. Pay attention to that. Now, so I take you to somebody was saying, at the time of the Prophet, did they have a physical book? Was the book actually compiled? Did the Prophet and his companions actually had a physical book before the Prophet died? If there was no physical book, Umar wouldn't have said the book of God is sufficient. Had there been no physical book, Sahih al-Bukhari 5669. Had there been no physical book, Umar wouldn't have said the book of God is sufficient. Hasbuna kitabullah. The book is there. And that is why even the Prophet said, bring me a paper for me to write something. Bring me so that I write a statement for you. Really? So Prophet, they have something to write on, and you said the Quran wasn't compiled? Who says that? God? So let's check the verses. They are lying to you always. The mushriks are like that. They have been programmed to keep lying, and they will never stop lying. But people like me, correctional officer, will expose all your lies. So when you go to Quran chapter 96, verse 1 to verse 5. Let's check here. Quran chapter 96, verse 1 to verse 5, right? And let me share the screen. Quran chapter 96, verse 1 to verse 5. So it says, read in the name of your Lord. Read in the name of your Lord who creates. Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Then it says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ عَلَقٍ اقْرَأْ وَرَبُّكَ الْأَكْرَمُ الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. Right? So God is saying, read in the name of your Lord who creates. Now, when you check the context of the verses from verse 1 to verse 5, it tells you clearly that the prophet wrote these verses down before he was asked to read. And that is why when you take the book, the first verse of the book says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That is the first verse of the Al-Kitab. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. So that is why it tells him, Ikra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq, right? So read in the name of your Lord who creates. Now, remember, it says Ikra. Ikra, meaning read, right? Yes. So meaning read. Then he said, he creates the human being from a thrombus, that is blood clot, right? Then it goes, verse 3, read, and your Lord is the most honorable, right? Then verse 4, who has taught by the pen? So he taught who? Are you saying that God will teach the Sahabas of the prophet, but God couldn't teach his own prophet? Are you dumb? The word tilawa, it means recitation. In a verb form, we say etlu, utlu, yetlu, tetlu. When we say, if had God told him utlu or etlu, that means he has to recite. So the word tilawa means recitation. The word Quran means reading. There's a difference. So in order for the book to be read, it has to be written down in a book where you have it and you are reading it. So that is why before the book will be written down, Quran chapter 98 verse 2 to verse 3, God says, Rasulun min Allah yatlu suhufan mutahhara fiha kutubun qayyima. Because whatever the messenger was reciting off head, you understand, from his head, that means it has to be written down before you actually read it. You do the qira'ah, right, to read. But in order for you to recite something, it has to be from your memory, from your head, to recite, right? So there's a difference between the word read and recite. In the aspect of the Quran, because it's a manuscript, it has to be read when you have it. So in order for you to understand the context, God started from verse 1 to verse 5, and he says, read in the name of your Lord. So in order to read something, you must have written it down. So that is why verse 4 says, who has taught by the pen? What is a pen used for? You use it to write on sheets of papers, so that you fasten it together and it becomes a book, al-kitab. That is why we have kataba. You write it down, right? So the Quran was meant to be written down. It was meant to be written down. That is why we have the copies today. So for the mushriks who keep telling you, oh, the book was not compiled, it didn't exist, then why did Umar says, wa indakum Quran hasbuna kitabullah? So if there was no Quran, there was no kitabullah, why will Umar says kitabullah? If it's sufficient, what else needs to be written? Sahih al-Bukhari 5669. What else is meant to be written? And you are lying to us, the book never existed. We are going to check the verses of the Quran. So by these verses, verse 5 says, he taught the human being what he knew not. So if assuming Prophet Muhammad never knew how to read and write, God now taught him. When he became a prophet and a messenger, God taught him how to do all this. Okay. So now after teaching him, this is the next objective here, because the mushriks always will keep lying to you concerning this aspect. Now, when you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 282, assuming if the book was not written down, remember, when it comes to even debt collection, at the time of the prophet and his companions, God taught them how to transact a debt and write it down. So I'm going to show you. It says, oh, you who believe, whenever you mutually contract a debt for a fixed term, then write it down. and let a writer among you write injustice. So this is the verse here. I'm going to quote that part. It says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. Iza tada yantum. If you are going to mutually transact a debt, be daini. Daini means debt. Then he says, ila ajalim musamma, for a fixed term. Then he says, faktubuhu. Then you have to write it. Listen carefully. Debt, you have to write it. Then he says, wal yaktub bainakum katib bil adl. So a writer is called a katib, somebody who writes something. So even with debts, they had a writer who writes debts, and you are saying they don't have a writer who can write Quran at that time and fasten it into a book together? Are you nuts? Mushriks. Now, the verse says, then write it down and let a writer among you write injustice. And a writer shall not refuse to write as God has taught him. Allama bil kalam, allama al insana ma'alam ya'alam. You saying God cannot teach his prophet to read and write? Really? Hey, mushriks. You know totally, Papa. You mushriks, you know totally big time. This verse is in the Quran. At the time of the prophet, God is telling him. So let's assume even the prophet cannot write. So are you saying the prophet cannot let people write down the Quran? And you are telling us it wasn't compiled. So which means the prophet's duty wasn't completed before he died. If that is how foolishly you think, and you let the foolish scholars keep lying to you, they say the book was not compiled before he died. That means his messengership duty didn't actually fulfill. Yes, that's your point. It wasn't fulfilled. Then who compiled it? Then your garbage books now without telling, oh, the collection they have is Uthman version. It was only one Quran Uthman had. If it is only one Quran Uthman had, how come you have different? You are telling us you have different versions of the Quran today. Okay. So Quran chapter 2 verse 282. Oh, you who have believed, whenever you mutually contract a debt for a fixed term, then write it down. And let a writer among you write injustice, and a writer shall not refuse to write as God has taught him. Do you understand? So God has actually taught even the prophet how to read and write. Yes, if he never did it in the past, he now knows how to read and write. So they have to write the book of God. By the way, he has been taught how to write even. And I'm going to show you the evidence from the Quran. Even the disbelievers at his time, they bore witness that he wrote the verses of the Quran. And I'm going to show you. So by Quran chapter 2 verse 282, it clearly tells you that the writing existed and they wrote the Quran as well. Because this is God telling them to even write debt down. And you think the Quran will not be written down? Go to Quran chapter 68, Surah Al-Kalam. Noon wal kalami wama yasturun. So they use the kalam to write whatever is written down, because the teacher has to teach you how to write also. If the teacher doesn't know how to write, how can you, the ummiyuna or ummiyina, even write the Quran? Okay, let's continue. So now the next verse is when you go to Quran chapter 6 verse 91. This is what happened concerning the people of the book, right? They said, it says, وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدَرِي إِذْ قَالُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَى بَشَرٍ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Then it says, قُلْ مَنْ أَنزَلَ الْكِتَابَ الَّذِي جَاءَ بِهِ مُوسَى نُورًا وَهُدًى لِلنَّاسِ تَجْعَلُونَهُ قَرَاطِيسَ تُبْدُونَهَا وَتُخْفُونَ كَثِيرًا. Now this is the part I want you to see. وَتُخْفُونَ كَثِيرًا. It says, and they did not value God with his true value when they said God does not reveal anything to a human. Say, who revealed the book which Moses brought as light and guidance for the people? Who revealed it? You put it on sheets of paper. manifesting it and concealing much. So when you put something on a sheet of paper, what do? You write it down. You write it down. So if Prophet Muhammad doesn't even know sheets of paper at his time, how can he have the word karatisa? If something never existed at your time, how can you even have the idea to know the name of it? Who taught you the name? How do you know what it is? Do you get my point? The word karatisa is mentioned in the Quran. It means sheets of paper. So if sheets of paper is mentioned in the Quran, Prophet Muhammad had the idea what sheets of paper is or are. So how can you tell us sheets of papers never existed at the time of the Prophet? Oh, they were writing on stones. They were writing on woods. They were writing on whatever. Who is lying to you? Huh? Okay. So now, apart from that, when you go to Quran chapter 17, verse 106, right? I'm going to show you something. Quran chapter 17, verse 106. Let me put the verse. Oh, what happened? Yeah. Quran chapter 17, verse 106. Yeah, it says, when you connect verse 105, you connect it to verse 106. It says, وَبِحَقِّ أَنزَلْنَاهُ وَبِالْحَقِّ نَزَلْ وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا مُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Then he says what? وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأُهُ. Then he says, عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. And we have revealed it in truth, and it descended in truth, because God brought the Quran as a revelation. He didn't bring it like a physical book from the sky like this. It has to come by tanzil, and then God has to let him write it down. Right? So now God is explaining how the Quran came down. وَبِالْحَقِّ أَنزَلْنَاهُ وَبِالْحَقِّ نَزَلْ. So it came by revelation. So God sent him as a messenger. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا مُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Then he says, وَقُرْآنًا. So apart from sending him, he has the Quran with him, because the Quran has to be written down. That's why God told him, Ikra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. It has to be written down for you to read. So now, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَّقْنَاهُ. So God has actually separated it. فَرَّقْنَاهُ means to separate something, right? In chapters. That's why we have chapters. فَرَّقْنَاهُ. Then he says, لِتَقْرَآهُ. تَقْرَآهُ. So to read it, to read something. And I'm going to show you from the Quran, whenever you have to read something, it has to be in a physical form. You have to have it in your hand in order to read it. I will show you from the Quran. تَقْرَآهُ ala nas, in order to read it to the people or upon the people. So the Quran is meant to be read to the people because the book is there. Then he says, ala mukthin, makatha. Makatha means to remain, to stay. So you read it to the people in order to remain with the people. Then he says, وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا, and it was revealed by what? Revelation. So that's how the Quran came down before it was written. So now, for people who are telling you the Quran was never written down in the time of the Prophet, remember, this verse I just read, it has nothing to do with actually the Quran actually coming down from the sky as a physical book, right? So this is what the disbelievers at the time of Muhammad said. Quran chapter 17, verse 93. Check this verse. 93 says, they said what? Or there should be a house of decoration for you. They are teasing, they are trying to look down on Muhammad, right? As he being a prophet and a messenger of God. They are trying to mock him. So they said, here, if you start from verse 90, they said, and they say, we will never believe you, Muhammad, until you cause a spring to gush forth from the ground for us. They are giving him a condition. Verse 91, or there should be a garden of date palms and grapes for you, and then cause the rivers to gush forth through them by gushing forth. Verse 92, or cause the sky to eclipse upon us as you have claimed, or come with the God and the angels as a guarantee. Verse 93, or there should be a house of decoration for you, or ascend into the sky, and we will never believe till you progress until you bring down a book for us to read. So a book is meant to be read. You bring a book for us to read from the sky, not from the earth. They want him to go up in the sky and bring down a book for them to read it. You have a book, you read it. You don't, if you have a book in your hands, you don't recite. We read it when you have it. We don't say recite a book when you have it in your hands. You read it. Dummies. I mean the mushriks, right? So say, glory be to my Lord. Could I be other than a human messenger? Because the people are asking too much. This is what they keep doing when you say you are a messenger, right? So now the reason why I'm quoting this verse to show you that the people actually put down a challenge to the prophet because they don't want a book to be written down here. They want the book to come from God, like to see the book coming from the sky and coming to them so that they can touch it. So this is what God says in Quran chapter 6 verse 7. In Quran chapter 6 verse 7, then God says, what? وَلَوْ نَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ عليك كتاب في كرتاس فلمسوه. Then he says بأيديهم. Then they will say what? لقال الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا سحر مبين. And if we had sent down a writing or a book on a sheet of paper, Prophet Muhammad knew what kirtas is. Sheets of paper, he knows. Karatisa, kirtas, it existed at the time of the Prophet. They know what a sheet of paper or sheets of paper are. Because the people will have said, Ya Rasul, just like God keeps saying, yes, alunaka anil kaza. They will have said, yes, alunaka anil what? Karatisa, or yes, alunaka anil what? Kirtas. They will have asked, what is kirtas? God has to tell us, what do you mean by kirtas? Oh, it means sheets of paper. If it doesn't exist at that time, how will they know what it is? It existed. And that is why God showed them how to write, even depth. Okay, so if we had sent down a writing or a book on a sheet of paper to you, Muhammad, and they touched it with their hands, those who disbelieve will have said, this is only clear sorcery. So God already knew this would happen. So that is why he revealed the revelation to the prophet, and it has to be written down by him. And when the disbelievers saw that he wrote the verses down, this is what they said. Quran chapter 25, verse 5 to verse 6. Look what they said. When they saw that Muhammad himself wrote the verses of the Quran, this is what they said. وَقَالُوا أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ اكْتَتَبَهَا فَهِيَ تُمْلَى عَلَيْهِ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. This is what they said. Because the book wasn't sent directly from the sky for them to touch and see it, now that the prophet wrote it on earth for them to see, this is what they said. وَقَالُوا أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ اكْتَتَبَهَا, which means he wrote it. He wrote the verses of the book. He wrote them. On the kirtas or karatis is there. And that's why God keeps saying, Rasulun min Allah yatulu suhufan mutahhara fiha kutubun qayyimah. Because if I study something from a writing and keep it to memory, I can recite it to you because I have studied it. So it's in my head. I can recite it to you. That was the notion here. So listen carefully. So these disbelievers, this is what they say. And they say, these disbelievers, tales of the predecessors, which he, Muhammad, has transcribed. And they, the verses, that is, here, the verses, fahiya, is talking about the verses, which is a feminine attribute for the verses, right? Were dictated to him early in the morning and before sunset. Just that's exactly the prayer time for the prophet, the messenger, right? The time he does salat. So verse 6 is going to give them the answer. Kul anzalahu, because remember, God gave the answer in Quran chapter 17, verse 105 to 106. God revealed it by وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. It was by revelation, and the prophet has to write it down. Kul anzalahu lazi ya'lamu sirra fi samawati wal ard innahu kana ghafurur rahima. So God says, say, you the messenger, tell them, it has been revealed by the one who knows the secret in the heavens and the earth. Indeed, he is forgiving and merciful. Do you get the point? Aha. So now, he, the prophet, even the disbeliever at his time, know that he wrote it, because the challenge they put for him was to go to the sky and bring it down. And God says, if he has done it that way, they will not believe. So God actually made him write it. So you forgot God can teach him how to write, right? Really? Oh, you are telling me because it says in Quran chapter 29, verse 48, it mentioned wala takhutuhu biyaminike. So you thought he didn't write it? Okay, you are taking it out of context. We are going to that verse. So before we go to Quran chapter 29, verse 48, remember the word kataba has been used in the reference of the prophet, meaning he wrote the verses. But now we are going to chapter 29, verse 48. This is interesting. The Sunni scholars or the mushriks will quote this verse, right? Cause confusion in your thoughts. And I'm going to break that jinx now. When you go to Quran chapter 29, verse 48, God was telling the prophet, Ma kunta tatlu min qablihi. So you see the he. This qablihi is denoting a masculine pronoun, referencing to the Quran, or we can say the book, because both the book and the Quran uses a masculine pronoun. Remember, the Quran is written in the kitab. Quran chapter 56, verse 77 to verse 78. Innahu la Quran al-Karim fi kitabim maknun. That's where you find the reading. You find it in a book. So you read a book, right? Okay. So now God says, Ma kunta tatlu min qablihi. Then he says, min kitabin. So before this kitab, you never recited any book before the kitab. Because then the disbelievers will have said, oh, he copied from that other book. Because we know that he studied Injil or Torah. As the mushriks keep telling you, they will tell you Muhammad was taught by Waraka, or he was taught by somebody who already, he knows how to read the Torah. And you see these mushriks, how they are lying? God is saying his own book that you, Muhammad, ma kunta tatlu min qablihi. Then he says what? Min kitabi. You never recited any book before it, the Quran. Then the context still stands. There's no full stop. Then he says, wala tukhutuhu biyaminike. Now this tukhutuhu, remember, God didn't say that kataba, like you meaning taktub. He didn't use the word taktab or taktub. He didn't use that. He didn't say, nor did you write. He didn't use that. He used wala takhutuhu. This takhutuhu, it comes from the word khata, or we can say khatata. This khatata, it means to scheme something, to plan something yourself, and then get it done. That is why God used this word. And anytime God uses a word, there's a specific reason behind it. God doesn't just use words out of vanity, for vanity's sake. He uses for a reason. He didn't use the instance of ketaba here. He used the word what? Takhutuhu. This takhutuhu is you yourself making a plan or scheming something up and writing it down. You devise a plan, to devise a plan by yourself and write it down or get it done. So Prophet Muhammad never forged a book or to schematize the book. So to inscribe, he didn't schematize or devise a plan by his own self. We saw the answer in Quran chapter 25, verse 5 to verse 6, where the disbelievers said, Qala asatirul al-walin ektatabaha fahiya tumla alayhi bukratan wa asila. And God gave the answer in verse 6, that it was revealed by God. So it wasn't a book that Muhammad himself invented or inscribed it by his own doing. He never recited any book before. That's why we call it ummi. Right? So in this verse, this tukhutuhu is not referencing that about the Quran, because he didn't invent the Quran. Right? He didn't devise that plan to schematize the book. That is the context of this verse. So this inscribe such is referencing that he didn't came up with the plan himself to make such a book. That is what it means. It is not talking about kataba, like to actually write. Yes, he wrote the book, but based on the revelation he received. So it wasn't his own fabrication. That's why the disbeliever keeps saying he invented it. He invented it. He invented it. Do you understand the point here? Then God says, إِذَا لَا ارْتَابَ الْمُبْتِلُونَ مُبْتِلُونَ. Then what will have happened? Then the falsifiers will have had suspicion, because had Muhammad ever recited any book before, or had he written any book before, or actually schematized a book before, they will have reason to doubt and say, oh, this man forged it himself. But they didn't have that room again, because their argument has been flawed. Do you see the point? Now, I'm going to prove to you from the Quran, whenever a book is given to somebody, we use the word ikra, read. We don't use the word etlu when you have a physical book with you. It is wrong to use the word recite when somebody has the book with him. The correct word to use is read. This is the proper, logical understanding. Don't give somebody a book and he's holding and you say recite. No, we say read. I'm going to give you an example. Quran chapter 17, verse 71. Right? Chapter 17. Verse 71. Now check this for yourself. In Quran chapter 17, verse 71. The day we will call every people with their index, imamihim. Then whoever is given his book or his record here, فَمَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَأُولَئِكَ يَقْرَؤُونَ كِتَابَهُمْ. The day we will call every people with their index, then whoever is given his record or his book in his right hand, then those will read their book, or we say their record. If you have the book, we don't say recite. You read it. Reciting is from the memory. Reading is physical. You see it and you read when it has to do with the book. And they will not be wronged as much as a week. Good. Now, apart from that, I take you to another verse, which is Quran chapter 69, verse 19. So whenever you see the word kitab and ikra, you are reading a physical thing. So Prophet Muhammad had a physical book at his time. And I'll give you the last verse to summarize that, right? Don't worry. Have patience and bear with me. Right? I'll give you a verse to summarize that. So Quran chapter 69, verse 19. God says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَيَقُولُ هَاؤُمْ اقرأوا كتابي. He says what? And as for one whose book or whose record is given to his right hand, he will then say, here, here, read my book, read my record, read it here. It's he has a physical book. He present it, read it, check my certificate. Just like when we do exams and you pass and you have a certificate, you want to show it to your friends. You're like, here, check, read. Oh, I got 5 here, I got 2 here, I got 3 here, check. Read physically, take it, read. Do you see that instance there? Then the last verse is chapter 17, verse 14. And listen how the word ikra and kitab work together. Chapter 17, verse 14. It says, ikra kitabaka kafa binafsika yawma alayka hasiba. When you start from verse 13, the context is telling you, wa kulla insanu azamnahu ta'irahu fi unuki. Then he says, wa nukhriju lahu yawma al-qiyamati kitaban yalkahu manshur. Then he says, ikra kitabaka kafa binafsika yawma alayka hasiba. For every human we have fastened his omen, his presage, to his neck, and we will bring forth a record for him on the day of resurrection. which he will encounter spread out. The record, which is a book, will be spread out in front of you on the day of judgment. Then God says, read, ekra. We don't say etlu when a physical book is in front of you. That is why Quran chapter 96 verse 1, God told the prophet, ekra bismi rabbikal lazi khalaq, because he has written it by kalam. Allama bil kalam. So after writing with the pen, you start reading. This is what we all do. You write something on the paper, then you read it yourself to check. So after being inspired or getting the revelation to write it down, he has to first write it down before he can read it. You foolishly tell us the ummiyina that he went to teach them, they can read and write, and the teacher cannot read and write. Afala ta'qilun. What is wrong with your logic? Your teacher can read. Your teacher cannot read and write, but you claim you the ummiyina, the ones you claim they were unlettered or they were illiterate according to your own books. They can read and write, but their teacher cannot read and write. Ah, really? Okay. So Quran chapter 17, verse 13 to verse 14, God is saying, read your book. Your soul is sufficient today as a recorder over you. So people will be made to read their own book because the book is physical. You have it on the day of judgment. You have to read. So any physical book you have in your hand is what you read. You don't recite it. You read it. Right? So the last verse is to show you that Prophet Muhammad actually read a physical book. You go to Quran chapter 17, verse 45, where God says, وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. Verse 46, وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً أَنْ يَفْقَهُوهُ وَفِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرًا وَإِذَا ذَكَرْتَ رَبَّكَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ وَحْدَهُ وَلَّوْا عَلَى أَدْبَارِهِمْ نُفُورًا. So God is telling the prophet, and whenever you, Muhammad, you read the Quran, it's a physical book he has at his time before he died. That is why Umar said in Sahih al-Bukhari 5669, he says, Hasbuna kitabullah, because the book was there. That is why he said it's sufficient. When we say sufficient now, you are calling us Quranist, Quraniyun, hadith rejectors. Oh, because we don't like your garbage books. Is it by force? Are you going to force us to believe in your garbage books? We don't need it. So now, whenever you, Muhammad, read the Quran, we place a concealed partition between you and those who do not believe in the hereafter. Then he says, and we place coverings over their hearts, lest they comprehend it. That's why somebody like Siddiq Bozo can never comprehend the Quran. And deafness in their ears, Siddiq Bozo will never hear when you are trying to enlighten him. And when you mention your Lord in the Quran alone, right? When you mention your Lord in the Quran alone, because we don't mention Allah in their garbage books, we mention our Lord in the Quran alone. They turn away on their backs in aversion. That's why they hate us. And then they start calling us names because we are mentioning our Lord in the Quran alone. We don't need any garbage book. Where you lie against God and his messenger. We don't need those books. That the God and the prophet never gave you authority. The God and his messenger never give you any authority to follow or bring such books. We don't need that. So we mention our Lord in the Quran alone. These people will turn away on their backs in aversion. They hate us. No problem. So you see the evidence that when you take the Quran itself, it is clear as day and night that read is in connection with a physical book. When we say recite, so Prophet has done both. The messenger did both. He did recitation, he did reading. They are not the same words. God used words for a reason. God used words in the Quran for a reason. They are not the same. Do you understand? Okay. Now, so that brings the argument of the physical book. Yes, the prophet actually had a physical book at his time. It was complete. Just like God told him in Quran chapter 6, verse 115, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Right? The word of your Lord is complete in truth and justice. There is no alteration to his words. Right? And he is the وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. He is the hearing and the what? Omniscient. So the mushriks will try to twist your brains, bring lies up, try to lie about Islam, try to lie about the religion, want you to buy their lies. And when we come out to speak the truth from the book of God, they hate us. Okay. So let me see what I'm missing here. Okay. What did I miss? I think somebody asked a question earlier. It says, why majority invoke saints? Please explain. Why majority invoke saints? Please explain. Okay, I can help you out on that. Let me see. I take you to Quran chapter 10, verse 18. In Quran chapter 10, verse 18, I share the screen. Based on the question the brother is asking, Quran chapter 10, verse 18. And they worship besides God what neither harms them nor benefits them. And they say, these, meaning the idols they are worshiping, these idols are our intercessors in front of God. Say, are you informing God of what he does not know in the heavens nor on earth? Glory be to him, for he is exalted above what they associate. So those ones they put in front of God as mediators to say these are our intercessors. They are worshiping their saints. People invoke their saints because of this reason, thinking that their saints are the one to save them in the day of judgment in front of God. You understand? And this is why they worship them. So Afalat Akilun says, but any view on the natural disasters happening around the world? Of course, we have seen natural disasters happening in the time of Pharaoh, in the time of Noah, in the time of Hud, in the time of Saleh, times of Shoaib, and so on. We see all these things actually happening today. But the point is, now with the developed equipment we have, nuclear and so on, like the Hiroshima. If you take Hiroshima issue, if you take the Holocaust, the issue of what happens, we people actually create certain things to harm ourselves as well, right? So it's not mainly natural disasters only happening, right? For example, what happened in Saudi Arabia concerning the storm, and you see flies all around and so on. Yeah, God can do that. When people are going against God, he can do that to annihilate people or punish people. We saw what he did to Indonesia with the tsunami, right? But the handwork of a man too can cause that. We've seen what science can do. Scientifically, these things can be programmed as well, right? So we have what we call the handwork of God, and then we have what we call the handwork of a man. But there's a reason why these things will happen, because of corruption. And I think it's explained in Quran. If I remember the verse, let me see. Yeah. It says, there is arrogance on earth and scheming of evil, but the scheming of evil does not afflict except its people. So are they waiting only for the example of the predecessors? But you will never find an alteration to the tradition of God, nor will you find a modification to the tradition of God, right? So scheming of evil is happening. There's arrogance on earth and scheming of evil. The scheming of evil is there. But God says, but the scheming of evil does not afflict except its people, right? So the people who create it are the same people to face it. And when you throw a stone to the wall, it comes back to you, it bounces back. That's a saying, like a proverb, right? You throw it to the wall, it comes back, bounces back to you. So the same people, the things we create against ourselves are the same thing that is killing us. Just like the chemicalized foods today we are eating causes cancer, we created such foods and it will cause cancer. The natural foods won't cause cancer to you. You understand? The chemicalized foods are the ones causing cancer. And who created it? We created it, the GMOs and so on. So it will backfire. So similarly goes with some of the things happening to us. We are the ones who call for it. Right? Let me see. Yeah, thank you very much, Bilal Jibril. Exactly, Dragonfly. It says you won't be told to read unless you are reading from something. Exactly. Ikra means to read. Therefore, you need to see to read. Exactly. Simple. Right? There is no two ways about it. Abu Bakr Abdul Jalil says the hadith is flawed. The Prophet cannot write and cannot read, but he called for a paper and pen to write. Yes, that's what they are telling us. He called for a paper and pen to write. So, yeah. Let me see. What did I miss? And for those on TikTok, let me see. What am I missing? Did I miss any question? Let me see. Let me read a verse. A brother asked me to read a verse concerning chapter 4, verse 11. The brother asked me a question concerning distribution of inheritance. When you take Quran chapter 4, verse 11, it says, God advises you regarding your children. For the male is like the share of two females, right? If you have children, right, and if you have a male, the male will have the share of two females. So the things, let's say you have something in full, right? In full, and then you have three kids, 2 girls and 1 boy. So the boy will take half, and then the 2 girls will take half. Out of that half left, it will be separated again into 2, and then the 2 girls will share that half portion. But if there are women beyond the 2 females, so if there's 2 females and there's no boy, but there's 2 women, there are other women again in the family beyond these 2 females, then for them is 1/3 of what is bequeathed. 1/3. So you take 3 parts and then you remove 1/3 of it. So 3 parts, a whole, you divide it into 3, and then one for them is 1/3 of what is bequeathed, right? So, and if there is 1 female, then for her is half. If there is only 1 female, for her is half. She will take half of that, inheritance which was left behind. Then for her is half. For one's 2 parents. So if the person who died has 2 parents, to each one of them is 1/6 of what is bequeathed. So 1/6. If you have a whole of inheritance, you share it into 6 parts. Right? A whole one, you share it into 6 parts, then you take 1 and give. So 1/6 will be given to what? The 2 parents, to each one of the parents, right? 1/6 will be given. If he has a child, so if this person has a child, that is what the 2 parents, but if he does not have a child and his 2 parents will inherit him, then 1/3 for his mother. So out of the 3 of a full, you make 3 parts. So 1/3, 1 of the third will be given to the mother. But if he has brothers, then 1/6 will be given to his mother. 1/6. So a whole one will be divided into 6 parts, and then 1 out of the 6 will be given to the mom. Right? That is if he has brothers. So then brothers will share some of the rest. After a legal will has been prescribed, or debt, because when somebody dies, first of all, you have to check whether they have debt to pay off first. You settle the debt first before you share the properties, right? Your parents and your children, you do not know which of them is nearest to you in benefits. You do not know, right? An obligation from God. Indeed, God is omniscient and wise. So this is how God wants to simplify our lives for us. But the mushriks will always keep going to their garbage books, mix up with the words of God to cause confusion. And that is why always you see the sectarians always causing confusion in people's house whenever they're sharing of inheritance, because they don't use what God says. God wants to bring you simplicity. Mushrik says, no, we don't need God. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost 2 hours into the program where I'll be coming to an end. Let me see for those on TikTok if I have to answer any question. Afala Takilin says, is circumcision inspired by the devil? Because changing of creation, chapter 4, verse 119. Yes, I can say so. Nowhere in the Quran does it mention the word circumcision. God never asked you to do circumcision. However, if you think you want to do it because your child has any problem, any deficiency, or any side effect, fine. That's up to you. But it is not a command from God to do circumcision. No. Right? Nowhere did God say, if you don't circumcise your child, you are going to hell, or if you circumcise your child, you understand. It's not there. However, it is the hadith books and the Bible, you understand, the man-made Bible, inspiring, advising people to do such. If you ask the mushriks, was the Prophet Muhammad circumcised? Was Adam circumcised? According to the Bible, Abraham was like 99 years before he got circumcised. It doesn't make sense. After he already have kids, he gave birth to Ishmael, his kids, and then he circumcised himself. For what? I don't get it. You understand? It doesn't make sense. Quran never confirms such things. The one, somebody says, who was the knowledgeable man that Musa alayhi salam followed? The knowledgeable man, you can find the story in Quran chapter 18, verse 65 to verse 82. Quran doesn't mention the name of such entity, right? However, the sectarians will tell you, oh, his name is Khidir. That's what they say. That's not what the Quran says, but that's their opinion. Balogo says, Baba, the disaster happening in Mecca nowadays, has it occurred before? Yes, it has occurred before. You can Google it. Mecca, they have had such disasters in the past. It's not a new thing, right? There was a year that even the crane they have fell inside the place, killing people. People died. So you check. It's not the first time this kind of disasters have happened. It's a warning from God, actually. Sister Susie says, it's not first he saw, because Allah say Ikra, and then he writes, and then he recites. No. That's not how it works. You are reading Quran chapter 96 of the Quran. There's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. You are reading chapter 96. Remember, Prophet Muhammad had prophethood before he had messengership. He was given prophethood before messengership, because the prophethood is when he was living with his people, whatever was happening, it got to a point now he has to write everything down, like a history, and also prophecy. That's why he's a prophet. So whatever transpired, he got it written down so that the people will actually bear witness that he's a prophet and a messenger of God. So that is why Quran chapter 33 verse 40 says, Ma kana Muhammadun aba ahadin min rijalikum walakin rasulallahi wa khataman nabiyyin. Muhammad is not the father of any man among you. However, he is the messenger of God and the seal of the prophets, right? So he's a messenger of God and the prophet at the same time. So in that case, both his livelihood, the Quran possesses past, present, and future, right? So all the things the messenger was asked to write down in the book is the idea to give the people the impression that he is a prophet, so that he can know he has been given the knowledge of the past, present, and then the future. Only what God has inspired him. Quran chapter 7 verse 187 to 188. It is only what God shows him that he will know. He can never know any unseen without God actually showing him. That's the point, right? So ladies and gentlemen, I think my time is up. I need to take some rest. I'll try to talk about Malakat Aymani, the right hand possess. I will do that in my next lecture. So kindly remind me so I can speak about Malakat Aymani, those your right hand possess, so that we see how it works on the oath and our rights. It is not about slave, right? It's not talking about slave, right? Thank you very much, Faisal Hussein. I appreciate your presence. Bilal Jibril, thank you for the support. Thank you. Thank you, Abdul Samad. Yeah, thank you, Baba Seru. I appreciate that. Thank you all, Sally Jimmy. Thank you all for those watching. For those on TikTok, actually, I appreciate your presence. Afala Takilo, I see you. Baseman Tuna says, brother, how are you doing? I'm doing good, brother. Hope you're doing good too. Let me see. Antaru Kasim says, please, anytime you want to address the issue, please play the whole video before you address it. Do you think I have that whole time here to come and play full video for you? That's why we give you reference. Go and check it for yourself. The videos are there. Go and reference the video and watch it on your own platform. I don't have time to sit here, use my own dedicated time to play a full video for you. You think I'm here to promote somebody's videos? Use your common sense. Come on. That's not what I'm here for, please. Zo Salam, brother Salam. One of your Christian friend, Nana Eduku. I appreciate your presence. Yes, thank you. Somebody says, is it Ellah Jonas? So you mean our prophet, peace be upon him, knew how to read from the first time? I think you took my words out of context. You didn't see, you didn't understand what I was talking about. Akhi, assalamu alaikum. There is a particular person misleading people Islam, namely Ahmed, ex-Muslim. Aha. Okay, I will look it up. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hop Nima donation is still ongoing. So far, we have gotten about 20% out of 100%. We have gotten 20% of the donation. It's ongoing. Our target is to reach 5,000 euros. We are nearly at 1,000 euro now. 20% almost reached. I appreciate for those who have donated so far. Thank you all. You go to GoFundMe. Let me see if I can put it on the page. It's GoFundMe. Here. Yeah, for those on YouTube. For this based on YouTube and Facebook, that is it. You put gofund.me/D57DD323, right? GoFundMe. You can search it, Hop Nima, and it's still ongoing, right? We just started it like less than 2 weeks now, and so far, thank you for all those who, I know some people want their name to be anonymous, right? But there's nothing wrong whether your name displays or not display. Don't feel bad about you displaying your name or not displaying it. But we appreciate your support and your contribution. It helps a lot, and it's going to make a difference, inshallah. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. I see you, Haruna Ghana. You're welcome. Naz Khan, I see you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your presence. Abdul Samad, thank you very much. Salis Jimmy, thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate your presence, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, I'll be doing a program on JC Radio. Hopefully on Saturday, I'll be going there to do a program on the radio station where I'll be talking about Islam and what the Quran says as well. So I've taken up the mantle to actually address my audience on Wednesdays here, and then on Saturdays I'll do a radio show program where I'm talking about Islam and what the Quran says. So people will get to know about the real Islam, not the fake Islam. We don't need the fake Islam, the real Islam, right? We don't need the breastfeeding of adults books. We don't need stoning people to death. Those are pagans who do that. Wallahi. Throughout the Quran, when you see any issue of stoning in the Quran, it is pagans, mushriks who do stoning in the Quran. No believer does any stoning in the Quran. So it's clear who are the pagans of today, right? The ones who are stoning people to death. So ladies and gentlemen, this is babashuaib, the correctional officer. For those on TikTok, I appreciate your presence. I'm bringing this to an end. 2 hours is enough. I'm getting exhausted. I need to get something to eat. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And we meet again. Balogun, thank you all. Safia Stusi, thank you all for coming. I appreciate your presence and your support, right? So till we meet again, hopefully Saturday on JC Radio, and then subsequently next week, I will be here again, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube Live. Kwasu Sila, Salam, you're welcome. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to sign out with my intro. Peace be upon you all. Thank you all. Peace.